Thank you. The chair recognizes Mr. Latta for 5 minutes.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you very much for holding this important hearing on vehicle safety, and I also appreciate the opportunity to weigh in today. I start by acknowledging that the preemption provision in our discussion draft, self-drive, does look different than previous versions. If there is one thing certain, the gentlelady from Michigan's 6th District and I are working to get this legislation completed, and we believe that this new structure provides the most nimble and narrowly targeted way of doing so. Let me be very clear. We have no intention of upsetting current state and local laws related to issues that are well within state and local purview, such as traffic, franchises, titling, and licensing. What we are concerned about is making sure on the bumper-to-bumper how vehicle preemption has always functioned and how it should continue to function for AVs. Mr. Fulton, will you explain why the federal preemption provision is necessary and how its intersection with safety case provision will foster the development of AVs here in the United States?
Thank you for the question, Congressman, and thank you for your continued leadership on this issue. As I mentioned before, you and Congresswoman Dinkle were right a decade ago. You're right today, and I hope you'll continue to be right long into the future on these questions. As we look at the development of safety cases, we're looking at the processes for setting up claims for how you were safely operating within the design of the domain in which the vehicle is operating, how you prove that, and the evidence that you use to prove that. Also part of this is how do you make sure that this evidence actually proves what you think you're proving? All of this comes together through a series of processes, engineering processes and rigor, to the point where it takes a significant amount of expertise to be able to put forth a safety case. It is not a quick and easy thing to do. So as we look at sending this to NHTSA, sending these safety cases to NHTSA, it takes a lot of expertise to be able to understand these things and to be able to understand all of the standards that go into it, including, for example, the safety of the intended function. To address an issue that was raised earlier, what is the system intended to do? How is it intended to do it? And is it doing that? That's something that's built in to the development of a safety case. All of these things, there are well-intentioned regulators around the country thinking, I read in the press that there's a Wild West. Nobody's out there regulating this technology. Nobody's finished the rulemaking. My God, somebody needs to do something. That is not the case. What we're seeing is not only are we looking at different approaches around the country, but there's ultimately agreement with the legislation that came from a decade ago that you championed with the rulemakings that were started in the first Trump administration around a framework for automated vehicle safety and in the safety case provisions that you've got in your Self-Drive Act here. There's a grand agreement among Republicans, Democrats, state and local regulators, and the Congress and the executive branch itself across multiple administrations that this is the consensus, industry-driven way to do it that is fully understandable and can be executed upon. Congressman, you're right on this question, and you'll continue to be right, and I certainly hope that Congress once again agrees with you and passes this bill with these safety case provisions.
Well, thank you very much, because some have said the legislation we put forward would just leave AVs unregulated with no power for oversight of this technology. And I've said it from the start, and I've always said this: AVs must be as safe or safer than anything on the road today. Ms. Kane, does the legislation as currently drafted do anything to upset current NHTSA oversight authorities, such as recalls and other information gathering?
No, it does not.
On the point of safety, the United States has averaged, unfortunately, 41,000 deaths per year due to traffic accidents over the last 5 years. And according to NHTSA, when you look at the accident numbers here, 94% of the traffic accidents are caused by driver error. And those are from recognition errors, decision errors, performance errors, and non-performance errors. So, importantly, the Self-Drive Act directs the FMVSS rulemaking for ADS. We know that FMVSS takes a while, and we don't want the technology to be unregulated in the meantime. That's why we have a requirement for a safety case for the date of enactment. Mr. Fulton, how would in my last 34 seconds, how would the safety case structure promote AV safety?
Congressman, an AV safety case structure and the structure of this bill would give a consistent approach for innovators to reach the highest bar of safety that this Congress and NHTSA can develop and set today and improve upon over time. This gives a simple, clear way to do it and clear, consistent guidance that only Congress can give innovators around the country to meet those high levels of safety.
Well, thank you all for being with us today. And Mr. Chairman, I yield back the last 1 second I have.
All right.